Senator, welcome. You know, right after you and Democratic Senator Chris Coons from Delaware introduced your bill, President Trump did the opposite. He announced NVIDIA could export its H200 chips to China as long as NVIDIA gives the government a 25% cut of the sales. Does this neutralize your Safe Chips Act?
One of the things that we all recognize here is that when DeepSeek, China's AI model, came out, that was our Sputnik moment. And this is the 21st century space race that we have to win. Nobody wants us to fall behind communist China in the AI race. It's the goal of the White House. It's the goal of us as senators in the U.S. Senate. Really, everybody wants this. The question is, how do we best go about it? The president announced that he was going to provide those chips to approved companies in communist China. So we still don't know all the details of it. In fact, there was a report that those chips would actually be produced in Taiwan and come back to the United States for a security check first. So we still need to find out more about it. But frankly, our legislation really supplements what the administration is doing because it doesn't retroactively cancel anybody's license, should the president do that, and this bill get passed into law, and would still have the ability for the Commerce Secretary to be able to review that every 30 months and then be able to update those standards to be able to allow for additional sales of higher end chips if we thought that was a prudent thing to do. So this, again, as you point out, is a bipartisan bill and really is part of how we can continue to make sure that communist China does not beat us in this AI race.
But we all know that the People's Republic of China, they have control over companies. They can insert themselves and go right into all the intellectual property that any company in China that is operating there has. And therefore, even these H200 chips to approved businesses could then be infiltrated by Beijing, could they not? So what is the point?
Liz, you're exactly right. You know, communist China has a law that they can basically take any intellectual property they want from any company.
Exactly.
And we know they've got a civil-military fusion where they actually are leveraging all sorts of civilian technology for their military. And in fact, Xi Jinping has said that he wants to be completely independent of us by the year 2030. And they view AI as a way for their military to leapfrog ours and to become superior to ours. So this is a very, very important national security issue for the country. And again, we are really wanting to be a part of how we figure out how to limit the number of AI chips to communist China. So we plan to continue to build support for this bill. But we also want to work with the administration. Like I said, if the administration would grant some of these licenses, it wouldn't cancel those licenses, but it would limit how many would be able to go to communist China in the future.
Well, you've gotten quite a few senators on your side, and even congressmen on both sides of the aisle are very concerned about the national security piece of this. Senator Jeanne Shaheen had said that permitting the sale of advanced chips would be tantamount to surrendering a vital U.S. advantage. Congressman John Moolenaar of Michigan, he's the China Select Committee guy. He's not happy about this either. He wants all kinds of hearings regarding this. So does Senator Liz Warren. But let me tell you what you're up against. You're up against Jensen Huang, the CEO and founder of NVIDIA. He's made multiple visits to the White House. He and the president have a very good relationship. He's whispering in the president's ear. And in fact, he thinks there is a better way to take the lead against China. Listen to how he put it to us on the Claman Countdown.
Ultimately, it's in the best interest of the world, of our country, for us to be able to sell in China, have China's AI companies and AI researchers build AI on top of the American tech stack, and so whatever it takes to get it approved for us to be able to sell in China is fine with us. And we just want to make sure that the American tech stack is the world's global tech stack.
Senator, you're looking at big business versus national security. Who's going to win out here?
Well, of course, the business of the United States government is to keep people safe. Obviously, NVIDIA's business is to sell chips. But I've talked to Jensen about this, and he has a different theory about how to go about this. And we certainly, again, we have the same goals here. I want the American tech stack to be dominant around the world. We want them using our models, our applications. And so the question is, what is the best way to do that? our opinion is that by limiting the number of high-end chips, AI chips that are going to communist China, that is the best way to limit their ability to generate this compute power. There's really kind of three things you can do. It's the chips, which our chips right now are 5 times more powerful. They can't manufacture these in China right now, though Xi Jinping is spending hundreds of billions of dollars to be able to catch up with us. There's also the number of people that we have in this industry. China can produce 27 million engineers over the course of a decade, so they've got a lot of people that can throw at this. And of course, power. They've got something like 58 nuclear power plants right now, with 33 being built and 43 more on the design board. So they are trying to catch up in that as well. So this is one where we have a competitive advantage, and that's why we think the best way to do it is really limit how many AI chips are going into communist China.
You guys are looking at semiconductors, if I have this correctly, as a very important weapon. We limit the export of American weaponry and American defense materials. So it feels like that's how you are looking at it, and the people who are on board on Capitol Hill. And yet President Trump used to be on your side, and then one day he came out and said, no, I'm going to allow the sale of these chips as long as we get a 25% cut. So have you talked to the president about whether this is now just a money issue?
Again, we all have the same goal. Look, I know the White House has the same goal. We want to win this AI race.
His goal is also to get a cut of it, and he knows that there are a lot of sales in China.
Well, that's certainly part of what the deal he announced was. As I said, our goal, or our business in the government, is to keep people safe. And the White House does have the goal of helping us win this AI race, right? They want to win this AI race too. The question is, what's the best way to go about it? And I'm putting together the folks that think that we ought to be limiting the number of AI chips. As I said, should our legislation pass, it actually doesn't revoke any license the president should get. And he did say he was going to give them to certain approved companies. It didn't sound like it was going to be a wholesale selling into just any company into China. You did point out the problems with the civil-military fusion with regard to this, but this is where we also need to see the details of what the president's got in mind.
Senator, before we go, breaking news on the health care issue of the expiration of the ACA subsidies. That's going to happen December 31st. Senator John Thune, the Republican who is, of course, the Senate leader, just came out in the last hour and said there will be nothing done on this, on health care, this week, but there's a pathway in January. How do you face the American public who are going to suddenly see a spike in their premiums after the first of the year?
Well, I think it's important to know that this is actually not healthcare premiums broadly across the American. It doesn't have anything to do with private healthcare. This is specifically the people who are getting frankly the higher end people. Like, remember, this didn't have any income caps, so millionaires were getting these Biden, Obamacare, COVID bonuses. So Obamacare is not going away. Everybody on Obamacare is still going to have that opportunity. It's just these extra bonuses to the high end and people that are going to be going away with regard to this. And I think what John is referring to is, hey, we presented our plan for how to go for this. The Democrats presented their plan. I might note that some Republicans voted for the Democrats' plan, but no Democrat crossed the aisle to come to vote for us. So they're the ones that really need to come across the aisle and start looking for a place to compromise. And I think what this reflects that the Democrats are still not there with regard to finding a place to compromise. But as you know, this is a big, complicated topic.
Senator, it's cold in Nebraska, but I hope it's a white Christmas for you. Some snow there.
Thanks very much, Liz. Merry Christmas.
You bet. Thank you so much.